Hey, and we are live, y'all. Episode 34 of Circle Shenanigans. I'm Scotty. Got Brother Paul over there.
Brother Paul here.
And
And
I
of
don't know if I
course,
can do
I
it.
am
I can't do
the.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, dum.
Okay.
I am the 24 karat lion and your host with the most, the fan fave, Jeremiah Goldmane. Collectively, the three of us are the trios team known as Circle Shenanigans. And today we have a great episode. We have an episode for the troops, if you will. But before we get into that, I'm going to throw it over to Brother Paul, and he's going to tell you about our wonderful sponsors. Brother Paul.
Brother Paul.
All right. Thank you. Today's episode is sponsored by Amaya Fresh Mexican Grill, the McCannabis, 8 Mile Vodka, the Little Brown Jug, Lane's Pizzeria, FU Wrestling, Graves Sports and Collectibles, Mugby Bar and Grill, IWR, DCW, and Pro Wrestling. Thank you all for your love and support. With that being said, let's start our episode off.
Let's get into it. Of course, we have a guest. We have a guest every week, and today is no different. But today we have a special guest, folks. He is the Vehicle City villain, the man who invented this shit. I am, of course, talking about the the one, the only, Aaron Orion.
Hi, guys.
What up?
What up, Aaron? How
Thanks
are
for
you
having
today?
me. Oh, not bad. It's conveniently the second we start this podcast, everyone's going to start walking in the door. So it's going to be interrupted a couple times, I'm sure, here in a second.
It's no worries, man. It's no worries. The Orion clan, always welcome, always welcome. So, where to begin, man? You have a nice little storied career. Some people have seen you on the indie scene. We've seen you on WWE TV. But, I mean, the big thing is you are the leader of one of the hottest factions in all of indie wrestling. It's made its way out of just Michigan, all over the Midwest, the East, the West, the South. I am, of course, talking about the Death Threat Army. And I've personally always wondered this, so we're going to just hop right into it, dog. When did this begin? How did it begin? Who did it begin with? And where are they now? Because I know I've seen that cool little flyer you can get signed by all of DTA. And there's a few members maybe not active on the scene or active around here. So tell us, my guy.
So in the beginning, I started wrestling when I was like 15. I wrestled for like a backyard promotion, and so I started wrestling for a company called VMWO. So they're not open now, but they were open for like 20 something years. And I started there when I was like 15. My mom literally had to like sign a waiver. And so I was doing it for like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years, some shit like that. And then I went to the Army. So then when I went to the Army, I tried to get back into wrestling down there. I didn't really know anybody how to reach out, but I didn't really know anybody to reach out to. So I was just like searching around on Facebook and shit. And I found like this random promotion, and I like hit up the promoter, and I was like, hey, can I just come here and like fucking hang out? And I get there, and it's like at a strip club, and it's like it's like a very, very low end promotion. And they're in the ring trying to teach like a lady to do a fucking arm drag, and it's just going like terribly. And there's like one guy there, and he's like trying to coach him along, and he's kind of like he's not the ones trying to do it, but he's like, hey, do this. And I eventually, like after watching for like 10 minutes, I was like, dude, do you want me to get in there and just take one so you see how the fuck it's supposed to look? And I jump in there, I take a fucking excellent arm drag, and then immediately this guy, he's like, oh, this fucking guy knows how to wrestle. Like, he knows what he's doing. And his name was Lamar Phillips. So he's a indie guy in like southern Georgia, Mississippi area. And he happened to be best friends with another guy. His name was Jamie Hall. So he links me up with Jamie Hall, who happens to also be in the military, and he's also stationed at the same base that I'm at. And we link up and we start going to shows together, shit like that. And eventually that kind of turns into, man, we should just be a tag team. So there was a promotion that we were kind of like helping get off the ground, and it was called Explosive Pro. And our very first match that we ever did as a team was there. So we got some, like, I don't know, kind of like military, kind of the same vibe that we do nowadays. It's like we kind of just found some military-esque gear and garb to wear, and pondered some names, pondered some ideas, and that's where Jamie and I had came up with the name, the Death Threat, which was just, so before it was the Death Threat Army, it was just Death Threat, and that was our tag team name. And then we started doing that for, I don't know, maybe like 9 months to a year, and then he gets shipped off to Poland. So then I kind of go back to just kind of being alone, but I feel like during that time I kind of like found myself, as even though I've been wrestling for like years prior, I felt like having to go back down there and kind of like rebrand myself all over again. And then, and also like going into the military, I felt like that was the first time like in my like real life that I felt like complete. Like I always just felt like something was like missing. So, but once I was in the military, it's just like, it felt like that shit was like, I don't know, like real. And I felt like I could, I don't know, it's like be myself as a wrestler. And so Jamie's gone for like 9 months, and eventually it comes time for us to like come back home. So my contract ends with the Army, and now it's like time to come back home again. And I don't want to like take the Death Threat name and like everything that we built and shit like that, like away from him. So I was like, man, what the fuck can we do? Like without just being like, hey, Jamie, I know that you and I did this, but I'm just going to take all of our shit and I'm going to do it up here. So that's where we kind of came up with like the Midwest, or like the Death Threat Army, and then the Midwest Outpost, which was like kind of like our original, not necessarily like we were still Death Threat, but we were like referred to ourselves like the Midwest Outpost, which is dead and gone by now. But in the beginning, that's just kind of like what we were. We were like up in Michigan or in the Midwest. We were the Midwest Outpost of the Death Threat Army. And then Jamie was just like the Death Threat Army. I don't know if there wasn't like a gimmick name behind it, but and then from there, it was just kind of like, I originally started here tagging with Christopher Saint, and that didn't really last too long. We were doing some like lower level tag shows, or I would do tag team shit at shows. And then I started kind of getting like getting a lot of steam as singles, and basically like all my bookings kind of transitioned into like singles. And during this time, Jamie meets Kenji, who's another guy. He's from South Carolina, and he came to me. He was like, hey man, I met this guy. He's a really cool dude. Like he kind of fits the vibe that we got going. And do you think that we could bring him into Death Threat? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's as much as it's mine as it is yours. If you believe in him, then I fucking believe in him. And so that's how Kenji got brought in. And that's, again, same for Christopher Saint. That's how he got brought in. And for me, like Christopher Saint, he's like my brother. And for him, it was more like, I mean, he was a good wrestler in his time. He was like a very good storyteller, very good with the promos, shit that I wasn't really good at. But he has a very good mind for the business. So like, even though he's not wrestling now, he always is here to like kind of like help flush shit out and kind of come up with ideas and shit like that. But he doesn't really wrestle anymore. And then we're getting pretty hot. Everything's going pretty well, and Orlando Christopher hits Jack Price up and is like, hey, Tom from War is looking for a tag team to come do some of these like fair shows and shit. And I thought that you and Aaron would probably, get your foot in the door. It'd be, good for you guys to get down there. And we were like, dude, fuck yeah. So then we like get some gear like overnight made in like 5 days. And we go down to War at these, like we do like a handful of little fair shows, and we just like tear it the fuck up. And Tom was really impressed. The next thing you know, we were on his main shows. And then, like 3 months after that, we were winning the War Tag Team titles in like a fucking TLC match. And that's kind of like how the Death Threat that like Michigan knows kind of came to be. And then for all the other guys that kind of came along the way, is like they were guys coming like out of school. There were guys maybe even in school at the time that I would meet if I was going to if I was going to a training center or a school to help out, or maybe I was going in for like a seminar or just to roll around a little bit. And that's how we kind of started running into all these other guys. So like we were doing this, we were doing a little storyline at CIW when CIW was running in Flint. And it was like basically like all the Flint hometown guys. It was like me, Jack, Ren Jones, Xavier Walker. And we just had, they kind of gave us the freedom to do whatever the fuck we wanted. So we were running these big, this like kind of big storyline between the four of us being the kind of the hometown guys. We were the ones drawing the crowd here. And that led to a night where me and Jack were in the middle of our portion of this feud. We were going to do some shit, and I needed some guys to like kind of help with like a run-in. So I wanted some guys to like, you know, like be dressed up in black and look menacing. And coincidentally enough, that menacing person was like a very, very young Alex Weir and Adam Wick. And I didn't really have any like expectation that they were going to be a death threat. We just needed the bodies. And when Alex got in the ring, I didn't really know anything about him. I didn't know anything he did. And he came in and threw this fucking sweet karate kick to Jack and knocks his fucking head off. And just like, just seeing them move around the ring and shit, I was like, man, these motherfuckers are like, like I said, I knew Adam. We went back to the NWO a handful of times just to help out and, you know, like give advice and shit like that. Jack and I always like to go back there when it was running and just try to like, talk to the people that we thought they had potential to try to get them out into like the real indie world and kind of get them out of this little like this little MWO like universe that they lived in. And Adam was one of those guys. So just seeing like what Alex did that night and seeing how he moved around the ring and his intensity and Adam's intensity, we're like, man, I could help these guys. So it wasn't like in this moment, it wasn't like, oh my God, these guys are going to be so good. It was like, I feel like they have the potential to be so good. And so then we came up with the idea of like, well, what if we just like could find these guys that we believe in and try to kind of like mentor them in a way where we could get them. I always look at it, it's like it took me like 7 years to get to where I felt like I was good in a ring. And during this time, I didn't feel like I had a lot of mentors. Like I had like Levi Blue very early on. Like he was the trainer at the MWO. And then I went to Xavier Justice's school when I was like 18. And then from there, I traveled along with Chris Corbus and Nitro Phil Monahan. And like those guys were kind of like the guys, and Nick Zero was a big part in like teaching me kind of like the style of wrestling that I like. But all these other guys were like super old school guys. So they were like 1980. So it's like we would go around and do these like old school like 1980s tag matches and shit, which like really helped me really get a good grasp of how to tell a story and how to put together a solid tag team match. But it wasn't like the style that I wanted to be. It wasn't the style that I wanted to wrestle, but it was definitely a good learning experience. But like with those four guys, like I felt like I never had, like no one was ever there being like, hey man, I watched your match. Maybe you should do this next time. Maybe you should think about this. So like we kind of thought, like Jack and I was like, hey, what if we could get these guys that we believe in and
little technical difficulties.
Man, I thought it was my internet. Oh, I did. Oh man, I was so into that story
dude,
too.
I am so invested into this. I love this. Oh, dude, we're getting
like I have questions that I want to insert, but like, man, oh come on, Aaron, come back,
quick, bro.
Oh,
I like him.
Oh no, Aaron Orion's one of the best. Man. He's one of the best and the best. Oh. Aaron's
You were
back.
saying that. You were saying that because you knew I was in the backstage. I don't know where I got kicked off at, but
it was you and Jack creating the group to give back to people like you guys felt no one ever gave back to y'all, which as a wrestler myself, you are actually one of the few people who give me feedback at all. Right?
Well, I try my
that's
best.
fact. Oh, bro, you do,
Well, I feel
man. Like you give me.
there's so many guys and girls out here like that like from being like 6 months out of school or even like 2, 3, 4 years in who think that they're so fucking dope. And like I know that I like am not necessarily the most approachable guy if you don't know me, but like there's so many talented people in a lot of these locker rooms, and like we have a lot of these fucking guys that walk around and just be like, yeah, man, my match was fucking awesome when it was like actually dog shit. And they don't ask for the help. They don't ask for critiques and shit like that. And like, I just felt like I came up in a time where it wasn't like that. Like it was like that. People were definitely like that, but like, it wasn't like the atmosphere of a wrestling show wasn't like the veterans are going to help you. So definitely some would, but like for the most part, like it wasn't like that. Like it was kind of like, hey, these fucking guys, you come in here, you look like shit, your match fucking sucked, you don't belong on this show. Like that's kind of shit that was like said to us when we would like show up at these fucking shows and stuff. And so I felt like, man, it took me like 7 years to kind of figure this shit out and kind of like not even necessarily be like good, but at least be like a decent wrestler who knew what the fuck I was doing. And I was like, man, it would be dope if we could figure out a way to like find these guys that we truly believe in, that we think that have potential, and then try to like expedite that process, that 7 years into, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's even 5 years. But like, if we could do that and like give back to these guys that we think have potential, that we believe in, then so that's kind of where it started with like with Alex and Adam. But Adam ends up like during this time, he ends up going back to the MWO. He's being a pussy. He doesn't want to leave like where he's comfortable, which is like understandable. Like we wanted him to leave, but like he was worried, he was scared. Like he was basically being told by the people in the MWO, if he leaves there, he's not going to get booked places. He's not going to, like, I don't know, Jeremiah, you might remember, but I used to post about this shit all the time. Like when Adam started getting booked at like XI and shit, like I'd post all the shit and I'd be like, fuck you motherfuckers. Like this motherfucker's getting booked on XICW. He's on the fucking main show. Next thing you know, he's winning the titles. And it's like, and you motherfuckers like was like, basically was trying to hinder his career and like, oh, you're just going to be like DTA's bag boy. And like, look at where he is now. Like, well, now he's hurt, so he ain't shit. But like previous to that, like he's built this whole thing. And like, yes, we had a part in mentoring him and teaching him and guiding him, but like he did this shit himself, and he's made a name for him in Michigan. And hopefully like when he comes back, he starts like exploring the idea of getting out of here and establishing himself in other places. So then, so Adam goes away and Alex stays, and Alex is like, he looks like he's 14 years old and he's supposed to be part of this like scary army, and everyone's kind of like, like making jokes and shit, but he gets to a point where it's like skill is so fucking undeniable. And like, yeah, he looks like he's 14 years old, but he's also like a fucking, quadruple black belt and shit. And like, and then he just like over the next like year or so, he starts killing it. He gets on the super kicked. He's fucking like main event in super kick shows. And then right around this time is like when I go back to the PPW school, and I'm like hanging out and shit and like going and just helping out. And they'd open the school kind of like right down the street from my house. So I go in there one day, and I had an idea that I was trying to like flush out for like a little combo I was trying to do. And I'd already met Vendetta a couple times, but I asked if anyone will get in here and like roll around with me and shit. And I was like, hey, like, is there anyone here that could like, that would be willing to take these fucking, this little set I have? And he volunteered right away, jumped in the fucking ring. And then we worked on the thing that's still like, it's not the same, but it's like still the version of like what I would use like in my shine. And, but like right away from seeing Tommy, that like when he originally started out, like that's why his name was the Prodigy. It's like, he was so fucking good in training, and he just like, he got it. Like everything you told him, he would understand everything. He like, you could tell him the critiques like of shit he did bad. You could tell him how to do this different. You could tell him the psychology. You could tell him whatever the fuck he needed to hear, and he would take that and he would use it and he would make it his own. And then, so then Tommy went on the road with us, and then next thing you know, like Tommy and I are booked into a fucking tag team match on Superkick, which then put us as a team that like really kind of catapulted us to do a lot more traveling. Like Jack and I were very like Midwest based. Like we were doing a lot of shit outside of Michigan, but we were still very Midwest based. And then for whatever reason, like when Tommy and I tagged, like we just clicked to a degree that like then we started traveling all over the United States, and we had some fucking super sweet matches with the besties in the world and the Regal twins and the Seidel brothers, and like, and around that same time, it's like we had met Karam, and for Karam, it wasn't ever like, for me, it was never like, man, I want you to be in Death Threat Army. I just wanted him to get out of the PPW school and go to somewhere like Can-Am, because he has the look, he has the potential, and he just needs the right person to see him. And like, I even though I knew I was good, I was like, man, I'm like, you could be so much bigger than I can be, or I can take you to. It's like, so like my starting off advice for Karam was like, you just get the fuck out of where you're at and go to a real school, because when these people look at you, they're going to fucking freak, and they're going to see that, like, you know, you have $1 million price tag on you, and they're going to give you the opportunities that, like, just solely based on your look. And then that kind of goes on for like, basically, like, he gets to a point where he's comfortable enough to not need us and not need our name, and he goes off on his own, and he's doing fucking sweet. And so then, like, that, we basically, and then like we don't really have a lot going on, like, for taking away people. Like, we had Jason for a little while, and then Jody, and then the next guys that came along were KJ and Ryan. And I by this time, like, the pandemic had happened, my son had gotten sick, and I basically had kind of stopped wrestling. And so then it was basically just like Tommy,
Jason,
and Jack,
who?
and
Jason
Aaron,
Hotch. Jason who?
Hotch Page. Can you hear me?
Jason, and one other question, because before you get to the two new babies, right? What about Isaiah Broner?
All right, so
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I was gonna. Yep. So like, and Isaiah was just like, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. What about Isaiah?
So Isaiah was already wrestling. He was already out of school. He was doing a lot of Detroit shows and shit. And like, Jack and I
can. We got a delay, but it's fine. We'll work around it.
Okay. Jack and I had been watching him at XI, and he was basically just doing like Metro, Pro Wrestling All Stars, XI, and we basically just been watching him. And I'd wrestled him one time in like and basically like UCW, and I was like, man, dude, like, I just remember at an XI show, we sat down and talked to him. We were like, man, dude, like, what would you think about like coming on the road with us and like being part of our shit? And it wasn't even, it kind of goes back to the same thing as Karn. For Isaiah, it wasn't like, hey man, we want you to be in DTA. It was like, we seen that he had so much to fucking offer, and he wasn't getting the experience that he needed because he was kind of like stuck in this little area. And so Jack and I just kind of cornered him at a show, and was like, dude, like, you have the potential to be so fucking dope, and you just need to get out of this, you know, 3-show bubble, or like, you know, I mean, there's like 5 shows down there, but like, he was basically just doing a handful of shows. He was still kind of doing like his MMA gimmick. And we basically just went to it. It was like, hey man, like, we would love for you to fucking be with us, travel with us, and like help you along the way and fucking, and get you going. And for him, it was like, I would say for everybody outside of Isaiah, he joined us. I feel like there was like maybe like a 6-month period where we were like, hey man, do this. And then fucking all of a sudden just like clicked. And then he just fucking exploded, like, and just kind of done his own thing and still represented our fucking brand and represented our family and shit like that. But for Isaiah, it was always just like, man, dude, like, you're fucking dope. You have a good look. You have so much potential. And then we like brought him in, and we were like super pumped about it. And we were super pumped about what he could be. And then he just kind of did it, like, without, like I said, like, I feel like we didn't really do, other than critiquing a couple matches and watching his shit for a couple months, like, everything that Isaiah has done has all been on his own. Like, he's fucking just killed it. And so I say, like, for him, it was just kind of like he just fucking, one day it just like clicked for him. And maybe it was a certain match he had, maybe it was a you know, just like he got to like a year mark or 8-month mark, wherever the fuck he got, and it just kind of like snapped into place, and he was fucking shooting to the fucking sky. So, so then Isaiah being the, I wouldn't say he's the last guy, but one of the last guys of kind of like the main crew that we were kind of known as for like leading up into 2020. And then I said, all that shit happened. My son got sick. I'd kind of stopped wrestling. So then it was just like the main guys like Adam, Jack, Tommy, Isaiah. And Isaiah wasn't doing a lot of Michigan shows even at this point. I think I don't even know if he was wrestling. He might've been injured during this time. But that's when all the like the secret shows and the backyard shows and all this shit was popping off. And it was basically just like those guys, like kind of just like carrying the flag, doing their shit and like representing our brand and representing Michigan indie wrestling. And then they kept coming to me. Adam especially was like, hey, like, what do you think about Ryan and KJ? And then around that same time, Elgin had hit me up and he was like, hey, will you look out for Ryan? Because I've got to work with him a little bit at True School and shit like that. And I think that if he has the right people around him, he's going to be really good. And I was like, yeah, for sure, dude. I'll fucking, I'll look out for him the best I can. At this point, I'm like kind of the lowest of my low. I was like, I got fucking nothing to offer this kid, but like, I'll do my best at least to like, make sure that my guys are looking after him. And so then that kind of goes on for like a little while. We're just kind of watching him and like Adam's really working with him a lot. And then we kind of just one day sit down and like, hey, like, do they kind of fit what we're looking for? Like, no, not necessarily, but it's like, what the fuck are we looking like? Like, it's not like every person that we have is like a military guy. It's not like every person we have, especially like by this time, like Josh had really came into his own Tommy Vendetta. He kind of became like who he is now, where prior it was like him and I were like identical. Like we would get into the fucking ring the same. We like, there's a video of us getting into like rolling into a ring and we like, it looks like we're just like, it's like a wrestling game. Like we roll in and get up the exact same way. Like we look like it's like staged. And Tommy kind of started doing his own thing and really brought his own, like, his real life personality into the ring. And so it wasn't like we were just like a bunch of mean fucking military guys. And then at that point it was like, man, like I started kind of getting back into it. I started feeling better about myself. I started feeling better about like what I could offer. Because my biggest thing was like, I don't want these guys to fucking like, I don't know, like come to them like a fucking used car salesman. Like, hey man, do you want to be in fucking DTA? And like, even though like we're not fucking, like I'm not shit. Like I have nothing. Like in that time frame, I felt like I had nothing to offer for these kids. And but then like kind of Adam, especially like kind of forcing them on me, kind of got me back into the swing of like critiquing their shit and talking to them and giving them advice. And then I started feeling better. And then everything at home started getting better. And then we kind of made the decision like last year of like, okay, well, like they're teaming, they're coming up to fucking Chainsaw. Like, what do we do? We had like a kind of like a Civil War gimmick running up there where Vendetta and I had kind of split DTA into pieces, and Vendetta and Adam were going to use KJ and Ryan as like the new Death Threat Army guys. And so we thought that was like a perfect scenario to be able to bring them in and make it mean something too, because I didn't like the idea of like just one day being like, hey guys, you're part of the thing, like fucking congratulations. I wanted to have a story, or I wanted to have something. And so we had that storyline going at Chainsaw and everything was going good. And then they kind of fucking hit the ground running, and they've been excelling and fucking killing it.
Are we back? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So that is the story of the.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I don't think I can hear anybody.
Can you hear me now?
Everything's just breaking down.
Oh, is it?
I'm gonna back out real quick.
Alrighty then. Well,
That's unfortunate.
how's it going?
It's good, dude. I'm mesmerized right now.
Dude, I'm having a fantastic time. I love this.
DTA all day, baby.
I have to re-add both of them when they come in.
Oh, you're gonna leave me by my lonesome. No, you can do it from here.
Yeah.
Oh, snap! Technology rules.
Oh.
El Ridiculoso can
hear us.
for
That's
sure.
good.
Coco T. Ware. in the
How they
building as
going,
well.
guys? Wait, we can talk to you guys for a minute. Good old brother Coco here.
Yeah, brother Paul in the house.
Got Mr. Ridiculoso. Uh-oh, who's here?
Stoner Scotty's gonna take a Stoner break.
Jeremiah. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I just wanted to reset myself to see if that helped.
So far I
Can you
have.
guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
There you guys are.
Hold on. Let's see.
Boom. So that is the story.
Can
of
you hear me, Aaron?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So, Scotty, go ahead.
Nope, now everybody went away.
I was just gonna bring up how we're gonna have DTA versus DTA for the Kangaroo Cup.
There was just like a loud click, and then you guys are all muted again.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeremiah.
Well, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about Aaron. Aaron.
Sorry.
Oh, God damn it. Who broke this?
The internet.
The internet literally did it.
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
They blame
Ooh.
Scotty.
Wait,
I've been sitting here all
6
night.
weeks.
Already?
It's all good. All right, here he is. Let's see if it's working.
I can hear you guys.
Oh,
I don't know, maybe it's
my
my
mustache.
We're good now. We got it all done.
Sharon.
There we go.
What?
So we just heard the entire origins of the complete Death Threat Army story. A lot of people, though, Aaron, in that story are right now currently doing successful. You have Jody Threats on Impact, Jax on Impact, Jason Hotch is on Impact. Isaiah Broner is a multi-territorial beast. Thomas Vendetta is actively one of the top 5 deathmatch wrestlers worldwide. The twins, which aren't twins, freaking KJ and Ryan are one of the most must-see explosive new talents in the state. And you, sir, are on a tear right now. Hell, you and 3 other members of DTA, as Scotty was trying to point out, are going to compete in the finals of the IWR Kangaroo Cup. Right? How does that feel? That's got to be cool. No matter what, you guys win. But it's got to be cool for the Midwest originators to be taking on 2 of the hottest young talents on the active roster of DTA.
Yeah,
That's gotta
I'm
feel
super
good.
pumped for it. Like I hate the idea of having to wrestle Isaiah because I know he's gonna fucking hurt me. But I'm super excited about it. I mean, just for us to be to the point where we're in, fucking IWR, which has a huge legacy of Michigan indie wrestling lore, and then also for it to be ran by the people that it's ran by. For them to put us in this position is also great. And for them to put the entire tournament kind of rests on DTA's shoulders, that means a fuck ton to me. And then also any match that you put us for, or any of the combination of the fucking 32 of us, you put us in a tag match, it's going to be fucking bananas. And so I'm most pumped, because I remember one of my favorite matches that I've ever had it was the last show before COVID started, and it was me and Tommy versus Adam and Jack at the Hot Rocks, and it was it was for the Proving Ground tag titles, and it was just the match was so crazy, and it's Jack and I have grown up tagging with each other. Me and Tommy had gotten successful tagging with each other, and then Adam got to be in that situation and learn on the fly of how to really put that kind of shit together. So then, like, when you now fast forward, it's like you're taking the greatest tag team partners I've ever had. So I have Jack on my team. I'm standing across the ring from Tommy, and then we're also standing across from like the two of the biggest indie names going right now. It's going to be an absolute must-see match because I know that everybody is going to give everything they have to make it not only the hardest hitting and the most insane match that could possibly be had in an IWR ring, but also to win the Kangaroo Cup and all this kind of shit like that, and just add that to our list of accolades, I guess. Like, and it kind of goes back to what you're saying. It's like either way, like Death Road Army wins at the end of the day, and also it puts us on this platform where, you know, if the match is what I know it's going to be, there's a good chance it ends up on the Impact Plus app and ends up on the Impact YouTube channel and all that kind of shit. So it's like, especially with Jack being in the match, like, so it gives so much more potential because there's so many hot names, excluding myself, but these three are so hot, and it just like it's kind of just like a melting pot to be big. Like I don't think there's a way around it not getting a lot of eyes drawn to it.
Potentially it's going to be match of the night, and by potentially it's like a 95% chance.
No, I can't hear you.
Let's be honest. Now you can, damn it. I compliment him and he can't hear me.
Of course not. It's just one of those days.
I can hear you guys speak up. This is the mic for this one.
I know.
What up?
So yeah, that's gonna be match of the night, Aaron. That's a gimme. Like four of the best in the state running, going at it in tag action, which DTA is like the tag faction. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I humbly, but also don't humbly say that, like, no matter what show we're fucking on, if there's a DTA match on the fucking card, it's going to be the match tonight. Especially if Tommy's on the card, Isaiah's on the card, Jack's on the card, myself's on the card. It's going to be one of the best matches that absolutely happen, or that's going to be on the card. It's going to be match of the night. And now you're putting all those guys in one fucking match. It's just going. I can assure anybody listening to this who is going to be at IWR, it's going to be absolutely insane.
I'm ready. I'm super excited for it. Brother Paul.
So
Brother Paul.
out of all, Brother Paulie, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brother Paul.
Brother Paul. I forgot my question was, to be honest.
How are you going to forget your question, Brother Paul?
Jesus Christ,
Jeremiah, go ahead.
wasting airtime.
Right. Aaron.
So, Aaron, let's look to the future now, right? Like currently you have a strong roster. It's pretty deep. It has a lot of active members going, but you're out here now all the time. You're doing it full time again. You're out here putting on banger after banger. You got to see this new crop. Like, I mean, yes, 8KJ and Ryan, but like there's a whole new crop of people out there right now. Like they're pumping out every 12 weeks and they're coming out better than ever. Like, I don't know what these schools got going, but they figure who are some of the people on your radar going right now that everybody should be on the watch for because you're on the watch for.
I would say definitely, and everybody probably knows this if they follow me, Thomas Bailey, I think is phenomenal for being where he is.
That's my baby.
TP Tom.
I remember a couple shows ago at XI, my opponent had some car trouble or something like that. I couldn't make it. And I was talking to Ross about it. I was like, man, just let me get a match with him. And I'd never seen him wrestle at this point. The only thing I'd heard about him is that he's showing up at every show. He's helping setting up the ring. He's doing all the shit he's supposed to do. And I was like, man, like, let's reward that, because that kind of it's like yeah, there's I would say there's a small handful of people doing what Thomas Bailey's doing when it comes to like paying your dues type shit. And so I was like, man, let me get a match with them. Like, and then they were like, basically like, you're the United States champion. We're not going to just throw this guy in this match because we need it to be like a bigger match. And it ended up being great because I got to wrestle Orlando Christopher and like someone who I love. And but then a couple weeks down the line from then, I got the match at Chaos, and I was super pumped about it. Like by this point, I'd watched a couple of his matches and I'd seen what he was doing, and it was just like, it was kind of, it's not that like I was like, oh fuck, he's a great wrestler, but it goes back to like the potential of like where he is with how long he's been doing it. It's like you can see that he wants it, you see that he cares, but also you see that he's picking up on all these things that a lot of people, even 3, 4, 5 years down the road, aren't picking up on. And I mean, guys who have been doing it for fucking 10 years aren't doing it as good as he is. They're just talking about like timing and taking your moments and making those moments matter. Like, and maybe it's just me in my old age, but like, that shit matters to me. And like, so I'd watched a couple of his matches and I was like, man, dude, like either I'm just catching him like on his good day, or like maybe this match, like he just coincidentally hit the peaks and valleys properly. And so then Chaos gave me a match with him, and then I found myself walking the dog. I was kind of thinking about different things I wanted to do, and then I was like, man, dude, like I want people to know that this isn't going to just be like this veteran guy walking in and like fucking just beating the shit out of this guy who's been wrestling for 2 minutes. Like I want them to know that I'm excited about it, and if I'm excited about it, then they should be excited about it. And then we had this fucking match, and like I said, it's not like, oh my god, this is a 5-star match or anything like that, but it's just like when you watch him do the things he's able to do, he's so beyond his years. So like, unless he just completely falls off and doesn't grow at all from here, he has so much room and so much time, because he's figured out the way, I don't know, like, or his brain is figured out, just like with his work ethic and also like, the love of wrestling and how to pace himself in the ring and look and do the shit he's supposed to do. And so after we had our match, I was like, dude, like this is like, he's gonna be dope. He's already good. You see him at the shows now. Like every match he's in that I've seen he looks good. And obviously there's always gonna be room for growth. There's room for growth if he's wrestling for 20 years or 5 minutes like that. But just seeing the things he's been able to do in such a short amount of time, I've been super excited for him. And then the Grim Reality Boys I really like. And coincidentally, one of the match, it was on a pre-show against Bailey, and I was watching the match more for Bailey, but then I was like, man, dude, like this fucking big motherfucker is like really hitting those, like it's like, I don't know, it's like he's hitting those peaks and valleys properly. And those two guys were like, they just fucking, they do what almost no one does, and they reach out and they're like, hey, like I just watched their match from Chaos the other day, and it's like, I'm leaving the show, and they're like, hey, do you mind if I send you this match while you watch it? It's like, I don't know why people don't fucking do that more often. And like, and it goes like, yes, they're doing well. I don't know if they came out of the same class as Thomas Bailey did, but it kind of feels like they did. But like, I don't know if they came out of the same exact class, but they came on and they've done a handful of shows, but it's like they have a good presence. They have a good idea of what they want to do. But the biggest thing for me about them is that they want to get better. Their drive to get better, and they're reaching out. They're asking for opinions. They're asking for my input, and they're asking for other people's input, because like they don't want to just go out there and pretend wrestle. They want to go out there and make something of this chance of a fucking lifetime of being a sweet fucking wrestler. Dude. Like I don't. And kind of like, dude, I don't give a fuck if it's 5 people or fucking 10,000 people. Like, I still look at it as like, I get to go fucking fuck around in a wrestling ring for 15, 20 minutes or 10 minutes, or even if it's like 5 minutes. Like I'm thankful, but I don't know how I've done it. But it's like, I've always just looked at it as like, dude, we get to go do this fucking super awesome thing that I loved when I was a kid. And those guys, like they have that drive of like, man, I want to get better. I want to do this, but I'm also like fucking happy that I get to be in here and but you see so many guys coming out of these classes, guys and girls coming out of these classes, and they're just like, kind of like entitled. And it just like, and like I said, could just be like my old age speaking, but it's just like, you motherfuckers gotta want it or you're never gonna fucking get anywhere. And if you're not asking for fucking help, if you're not reaching out and like asking for guys that you know are good or girls that you know are good to fucking watch your matches and critique your shit and then taking the things they say and taking it to heart and implementing them in your next couple matches and shit like that, like you're never gonna grow. And those two guys are definitely guys who have consistently reached out individually and just been like, hey, can you watch this? Hey, what do you think about this? Or hey, can you meet us down to school? Is there a day that you're going to be there? We'll make sure we're there. So I enjoy shit like that because like I love hearing and seeing the passion when these guys are coming out of school. And I know like Heather's doing really well. Heather is a baby of mine, and her and Max are doing good. And it's like I feel like for those guys, it's just like it's just getting the experience of doing the shit that they need to do and getting those matches against people outside of their comfort zone and kind of outside of like the bubble that becomes like Michigan Indie Wrestling. And it's the same for like Solo, who's been around for a while now, but like if you're not branching out and getting in the ring with these people who you're not familiar with, like I've seen Solo and Kyla wrestle 600 times, and it's like how much growth do you get out of that? Which is why it's important for like these motherfuckers to get out and go do other shit, like and go to other states and go to other promotions that they don't usually go to, and get in cars with guys that they might not usually ride with, and gain that experience. But yeah, so those are the guys off the top of my head.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So, speaking of Aaron Orion as a singles competitor, I do know that you have a match coming up against Josh Alexander. That is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm nervous for that because I definitely do not want to disappoint him. He's one of the guys that I definitely like look up to. And I got to wrestle him a couple of years ago, and it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. It was an outside show. It was a really big event, but we went on like late enough in the day where like dew started to settle on the ring. So like the canvas was wet, and it was like a tarp canvas, and then the ropes were wet. And so it's like we kind of had to go out there and have not necessarily like a basic match, but like a relatively basic match just like for safety purposes. So I'm excited to do this match. I'm excited to get the redo, even though I got the other matches, it's definitely good. But like to be able to do it now, be able to do it feeling the way I feel now, feeling as confident as I feel now, like I'm very excited to get in there and be able to wrestle fucking definitely one of the best going right now.
For sure. Head trainer at Can-Am too.
Oh yeah, and he's just like when I would go to the gym, and usually like I would do like 30-minute cardio. I'd do like the stair climber for like 30 minutes, and I would just go and I would watch the Josh Alexander TJP Ironman match. Like on Monday, I would watch the first half of it. On Tuesday, I'd watch the second half of it. On Wednesday, I'd watch the first half again, and I just did that shit for like legit like 2 weeks straight. Because like I don't know if that match, it's on YouTube in its entirety, but that fucking match is so goddamn good. And it's just like you get every type of wrestling, every style of wrestling. It's all like encapsulated in this hour-long match. It's like, to me, it's like most people don't have the time to sit down and watch an Ironman match that's an hour long, but it's like, to me, it's like the perfect match. And like just to see how Josh works and to get to know Josh a little that I've got to know him. Like he's so fucking smart. He's so good and he's so driven. And to me, it's like he is somebody that like when I'm looking for like a match to watch, when I'm looking to get inspired, when I'm looking to get motivated, when I'm looking to get pumped up before a show, like Josh Alexander is like the guy or one of the people that I go to watch to like get me fucking pumped. So that match, like I'm nervous of it because like I don't want to disappoint him. And but on the other end of it, it's like I'm super excited for the eyes that it's going to bring to chaos. I'm excited for the eyes it's going to bring to me, and I'm also excited for the learning experience that will be to be able to be in the ring with someone who is so goddamn talented.
Absolutely. So my quick question, now that I remember, we've seen you in the ring multiple times before, here, there, whether it was on TV or not. My question is, out of all the people you've been in the ring with, who do you think has the best chemistry with you and why?
Off the top of my head, and I don't think this is true, but I was going to say Gary J. I feel like I've grown so much wrestling him. Like, even though we've only wrestled in the past couple of years, but like I feel like the times that I've been in the ring with him since our first match in 2019 to our last match, which was a couple months ago, and then the handful of matches in between that, like I feel like I've exponentially gotten better every time I've been in the ring with him. And so that's kind of the first thing that kind of pops in my head, because he's definitely one of the people that I get super excited to be able to wrestle. I get super excited to be around, to talk to him. But chemistry wise, I would definitely say Jack. My wife says Trey Miguel. I definitely feel like Trey is great and he can have a good match with anybody. But I definitely feel like Trey and like the smaller, like very fast paced cruiserweight guys, like I feel like I excel with guys like those, and especially guys like Trey. Jake something is someone like I like been in the ring with and just like oddly feel just so comfortable and confident just like being in the ring with him. And but I think that like at the end of the day, I would say Jack Price.
I love Jack.
Absolutely. Uh-oh. Can't hear Jeremiah.
Oh, Jeremiah, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Jeremiah.
Now I have a question.
There
How
you
come-
are.
Law.
Oh, he just muted her. Oh, he's gone.
He's gone.
All right. Well, while we wait for that, my next question, real quick. Who are you most excited to eventually wrestle or face, go one-on-one with in IWR that you haven't yet?
I would love to be able to wrestle Heath.
That would be dope.
We've done a tag team match together, and I really enjoyed it. But like, there's a lot of conversations him and I had behind the scenes that has made me love him so much as a person, and just like he's just such a fucking good guy. He doesn't know me for anything, and the time he took to talk to me and always ask about my son and shit like that, I just like, for whatever reason, I feel so close to him, and I would be very excited to be able to wrestle him in a one-on-one match.
Oh yeah. Am I heard now?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good, Jeremiah.
Okay. Cool. So Aaron, how come you never added the claw to your moveset? Because that's one of the biggest places I've ever seen you do that move ever in your career, was on WWE TV in a international battle royal. Tell me about that. Tell me about that day.
I felt like, and I don't feel this way now, but like I was super pumped to be there. I was honored to be there. I was honored the way that we got on the show and how I was picked to be in the position I was in. Like I was so thankful for that. But then like at the end of the day, it was like I didn't want to be looked at as like a fucking joke. And like that's like, other than like the post I made like the night driving home from Chicago after that, like I never posted about it. I never shared it. I'd never done anything. And it wasn't until like last year, this past, even more recently than last year, like maybe even just a couple months ago, someone had posted or it popped up, and I was just like, man, dude, like you fucking did that. Like you should be fucking proud. But like in that moment, like, and where I was like in my wrestling career, I just like, I don't know. It's like, I didn't want to be like hokey. And like, I don't know. It's like, it's stupid. It's like an egotistical thing, I guess, but it's just like, I didn't want to be that person. Like I wanted to be, I don't know. It's like, you know, they put everyone there and everyone had like a weird little gimmick and all this kind of shit. And like I said, I'm super thankful that I got to be there. I'm super thankful for the opportunity I had. But like at the end of the day, it was kind of just like the whole like battle royal thing was just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like a little like a joke gimmick to lead to where we were going. So like in that time, I was just like I'm pumped, I'm happy. I will always be able to say I did that, but I didn't want it to be like, I don't know, like what I'm like hanging my hat on of like, yeah, guys, I fucking went here and I did the claw and I'm going to do the claw again because you've seen it on fucking TV. It's like, I want to be a fucking professional wrestler. And I'm a good fucking wrestler. And like I said, it wasn't until just like very recently where I looked back on it and I was like, man, like that was awesome. And like, I don't know, kind of like, I just had like a different emotions towards it. Where I wasn't, I don't know, not like bitter. Bitter is definitely the wrong word because I'm certainly not bitter about it. But like, all right, just like it felt like I didn't want to be known as that guy. I wanted to be known as me. And I was like, if I'm going to make it anywhere, I want to make it there as myself, or like, I mean, you know, maybe not the same fucking name, but same. I want to be me. I want to get there on the like the accolades that I have built, the reputation that I have built for myself. And I didn't want it to be this thing that was like a joke. And, like I said, looking back on it now, it feels like it's definitely something that I would fucking do. And like I said, I definitely have a different vision on it now. But there's definitely been over the last couple of years, fucking definitely like Jack and Vendetta and Adam and all those guys have tried to pressure me into doing it. And I would always just be like, dude, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna go do my shit and do the shit that got me to the fucking dance. And I say now I look back on it, it's just like this great experience that I got to have that will, you know, live not necessarily forever, but it'll always be something that I can go back to and like, look, bitch, I wrestled in front of fucking, you know, 14,000 people who fuck was there. And also like, you know, and not that like a casual person would know this, but it's like, but I also got picked to be the last fucking guy. And I was put in that position because of like, different things that we had to do throughout that day, but also just because of like the relationship that I built with the people that like got me there. And so go lay down. So yeah, so it's just like I always felt like I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like, I always feel like like I'm not a fucking joke. Like I'm fine to be the fucking, you know, I'm fine to go and do silly shit. I'm fine to go and have the egg on my face or be a part of something stupid, but like, or fun or silly. But like in those moments, I was just like, that's not who I am. And I want people to like, you know, come see me for Aaron Orion, not for fucking Thunder Montgomery.
Thunder Montgomery.
That is something else.
All right, Brother Powell.
All right.
You got this day in history?
I do actually. This is.
Or Jeremiah, do you have anything else?
Oh yeah. Oh, and Jeremiah's gone again. No sound.
Wait.
Man,
Well, there it is.
I like for like as an outsider not being you, dog. It was a huge moment, man. Like that's my fault.
He said, "That's my boy,"
Well,
and dipped out. I think he was talking about that moment still.
okay. Well, real quick, 2019, the 1,000th episode edition of SmackDown. The seeds were planted for Triple H and Batista at WrestleMania 35. And also, the New Day defeated the Bar for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship.
Is he back? There he is.
He is back.
I'm trying.
We can hear you.
Oh, word. Nah, man. I was gonna say, like, for like as like not you, Aaron, but like as a friend of yours, I thought that was a huge moment. Like, I loved it. It was like that's one of us, dog, doing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I feel like I look at it like, and it's weird because like when my peers and my friends would go and do, security or go and get a dark match and shit, like I would be pumped for them and I would be sharing it and I would be like, hell yeah, dude. But like when it was, for whatever reason, when it was me, I was just like, yes, I did it. And like now, like, I don't know. And it's like legit, like I think it was like, I don't know, just a couple weeks ago that it like the like anniversary passed, and I was driving home from work. Well, I was riding with my brother, and we were driving home from work, and I was like, going through like my Facebook memories, and it popped up, and I just seen there's fucking, like 100 shares and hundreds of comments to go through, and then it was like I was scrolling through the comments, and it was like teachers and shit that I went to school with, who, like my acting teacher in theater, like my theater teacher, and like my guidance counselor, who was like a mom to me, and all these different people who were like so pumped, and it was like they like looking back on it now, I was like, man, dude, like, so it meant so much for so many people who believed in me since I was 14 years old, or at least like at least supported me. I don't know if they necessarily were like, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna make it, you're a 260-pound fucking 14-year-old, but like they, to see like kind of go back and like through those comments and the people who shared it and see all the shit that they said, I was just like, man, dude, like it was awesome, and it is special, and it'll always be like special to me. It just wasn't, for like I said, for whatever reason, it's like in that moment I just was like, I just want to go back to just being me. And like I said, I definitely have a different outlook on it now, at least in the idea of like, that it's like it's not who I am, but it's like who I am is what got me to that point, instead of it being like you're going there and now you're a guy from fucking where in the fuck ever I was from, like Sylvania or some shit. But like but yeah, so it was like I said, it was just like I see it in hindsight of like, man, that was really special, it's really cool, it was really awesome to see all the the wrestlers, the fans, my family, that who have supported me or watched me through the years that I've been doing this, for them to see me on that kind of stage and then be like, oh yeah, like I always believed in this guy, like that. That I feel like those emotions have set in more recently than definitely like back then, where I definitely didn't like take it in like that.
oh yeah. I'm gonna say, well, we do have one thing we like to ask our guests. Do you have a Virgil story?
I have met Virgil, but I have never had any actual interactions with him.
Aw,
Dang it.
Oh,
Sorry.
sad face. Sad face.
it's okay.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm about to say, and with that, we've hit that hour mark, gentlemen. I'm gonna throw it to Brother Paul real quick to give a shout out to our sponsors one more time.
Absolutely. This has been episode 34. Our sponsors again, thank you for the love and support to My Fresh Mexican Grill, The McCannabis, 8 Mile Vodka, The Little Brown Jug, Lane's Pizzeria, FU Wrestling, Craves Sports and Collectibles, Mugsy's Bar and Grill, IWR, Dudes Talking Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling. Thank you all for your love and support. Thank you to both of my co-host and our lovely guest for the evening. Thank you all for being here. Come next week on the 23rd, and we shall see you for our next episode. Thank you all.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Anytime.